Okay, for our next project, we're going to be doing a artwork that pays homage to an artist named Jim Dine. Jim Dine is an artist. He was born in 1935. He was an American painter, sculptor, printmaker, illustrator, performing artist, and stage designer and poet. He was also what you would call an American pop artist. And he's known the most for his hearts. And in his pop art, he had a popular series of painting and sculptures that used hearts. This is what we're going to be focusing on. And if you want to look, here's some examples. This is a painting that he did where he used paints and he had the heart here. Here's one here. This is actually a sculpture that he did of some hearts. This is another one, looks like a watercolor. What we're going to do is we're going to use the color wheel and we're going to draw some paintings, and these are some examples of what our painting is going to look like. So we're going to start with a piece of paper, and we're going to have a crayon, and we're just going to take a crayon and we're going to draw some lines. And these lines don't have to have any type of structure or anything, but you want to start on one side and you want to go off on the other. And you want to think about not having any area that doesn't have a lot of open space. So like right here and right here, these two spots, I have some open space. So I'm gonna go back in and I'm going to fill it just a little bit, just to fill those two spots. Now I might have a little bit of an area here to where maybe I'm gonna just do another wiggly line. Now I've filled my area pretty good. I don't have any large areas of space, and you also don't want to have something like, you don't want to go in and do so much to where you don't have any white space. If you do too much, then you're going to have too much area or too small of areas to paint. So you need to kind of think about a mixture, something, this is too much, this is just right. But if you had areas that were too big, you need to go back in and fill them a little bit. Once you've drawn your scribbles, we're going to take a little note from Jim Dine's book, and we're going to do a heart. And when you think about hearts, I know in the beginning, everybody, the first thing they want to say is, they want to say, oh, a heart means love. But if you think about emojis and you think about all that stuff, heart has completely different meanings depending on how you use it. Sometimes you can use an emoji at heart for love. Sometimes it could be for sadness or caring. Sometimes a heart could be for like power or strength, or I've got with you, we're there for you. So a heart can have many different meanings. This doesn't have to be a painting about love. So you're going to pick a spot on your page and you're going to draw a heart. Now it doesn't have to be right in the middle. It doesn't have to be up and down. So you can go in and you're just going to draw a heart. Now, once we have our heart inside our flowing lines, we're going to think about the color wheel. Now, on the color wheel, you have warm and cool colors. So if I was to follow this line right here, these are the cool colors, and these are the warm colors. So you're going to choose. You're going to have one set of colors inside the heart and the other set of colors outside the heart. So for example, if you look at this one, the cool colors are inside the heart and the warm colors are outside the heart. Now, most of these have the cool inside and the warm outside, but these three have chosen to have the cool outside and the warm inside. So you can choose, but you need to decide I might have a warm outside and a cool inside, or a cool outside and a warm outside. Then once you've decided on that, you're going to paint. Now, depending on which type of paint I have for this chosen for you guys, you're either going to use watercolor or we're going to use our temper cakes, and those are the ones in the rectangle with the squares. Now, if you use the temper cakes, all you have to do is dip your water in and paint right into the cakes and paint one on it. Now, if you're using watercolors, remember, with the watercolor, you have to load the paint, and that means get that puddle of paint inside, because with watercolor, you paint from the puddle of water, not from the cake itself. You don't want to dig into the cake. You want to paint from the puddle. So, since I did orange, I'd have to decide, am I going to do cool or warm in the heart? I did orange, so I'm going to do warm in the heart. And you're going to each area, so when I hit a black line, I'm going to stop. Now, since you're using water with watercolors, do I want to do something side by side? What happens when water touches water? It bleeds. So I wouldn't want to do one right next to it because they're going to bleed together. So I want to wait for it to dry. So I'm going to want to do another color, or go and do all my oranges that are not touching first. So am I going to do outside? No, I'm going to stay in the heart because I'm doing warm colors. So I would go and do all my warm colors first. And then once that have dried, or at least I'm in an area that's dry, I could go back in and do my cool colors on the edge. See how I'm going around and going in areas that aren't touching each other? So, for this lesson, you're going to draw your flowing lines, fill your space, but don't go crazy. Once you've done that, then you're going to draw your heart. It doesn't have to be in the middle. It doesn't have to be going up and down. Then you're going to decide on a color scheme. Is your heart going to be in warms, or is your heart going to be in cools? And then when you're done, you're going to paint warm in one, cool in the other. And that is our Jim Dine heart painting.